Michael Norman is walking into a race that does not care about his comeback story. He just won the 400 meters in Los Angeles. But College Station is asking a different question. Can the former world champion still handle raw speed? Or will the 200 meters expose the comeback before it fully begins? Michael Norman is not easing back into the sport quietly. On May 23, 2026, at the LA Track Festival, he won the men's 400 meters in 44.94. It was not a world-shaking time, but it was a clean win, a season best, and a needed sign that his comeback is alive. Now the next step comes at the Lone Star Grand Prix in College Station on June 6th. But this time, Norman is not entered in the 400. He is entered in the 200, and that changes the whole story. The 400 lets Norman lean on rhythm, strength, and the long sprint engine that once made him world champion. The 200 is less patient. It asks for a sharper start, a cleaner bend, and more pure speed. There is less time to fix anything. That is why Texas can embarrass him if the speed is not ready. A good 400-meter comeback does not automatically mean the 200-meter is safe. In College Station, the race will show whether Norman is building toward his old power or still searching for the gear that once made him frightening. Norman matters because his peak was not normal. In 2019, he ran 43.45 for 400 meters, one of the fastest times in history. He also ran 19.70 for 200 meters that same year. That combination made him look like one of the most complete long sprinters in the world. Then came 2022. Norman won the world 400-meter title in Eugene in 44.29 and helped the United States win relay gold. At that point, he had answered one of the biggest questions around his career. He was no longer only a man with amazing times. He was a global champion. But the years after that were messy. He tried moving toward the 100 meters in 2023, and the plan did not work. He returned to the 400, dealt with injuries, and the momentum around his name cooled. The old fear around Norman faded. That is why this comeback matters. He is not trying to prove he was once great. He is trying to prove his body can still produce dangerous speed now. The LA Track Festival win was important, but it should not be overvalued. Norman ran 44.94 and beat Johnny Blockberger, who was second in 45.41. Demarius Smith was third in 45.44. That is a solid win, not a season-defining explosion. For Norman, the value was probably more about rhythm than time. He got through the race. He won. He showed that he could handle a full lap under competition pressure, but 44.94 does not automatically put him back in medal form. The best 400-meter runners in the world are operating at a much sharper level when championships get serious. Norman knows that. That is why the 200 in Texas becomes interesting. It can show whether the 44.94 was the first step towards something faster, or just a safe race from a man still missing his old spark. A comeback is not built on one win. It is built on what the next race reveals. The 200 meters can expose a 400-meter runner quickly. A 400-meter athlete may have strength, but the 200 demands speed right away. The curve comes fast. The race can be lost before the straight if the first 80 meters are flat. Norman has run 19.70 before, so he is not pretending to be a 200-meter runner. He has real history in the event. But that history is from years ago. The question is whether 2026 Norman still has the violence to do it. If his start is slow, the race may get away early. If his curve is soft, the field will feel it. If he tries to force the first half, the final 50 meters can get ugly. The 200 does not give much time for a veteran to settle. For a comeback athlete, the 200 is honest. It tells the truth fast. College Station is not just any stop for Norman. The Lone Star Grand Prix is part of the USATF Grand Prix Series, and it gives American athletes a serious domestic stage before the summer pressure rises. For Norman, this is a useful place to test speed. But useful does not mean easy. A domestic race can be dangerous because fans expect a known name to win. If he struggles, the reaction will be loud. That is why the word humiliated fits. Norman does not need to lose badly for people to overreact. If he looks flat, if he runs a slow 200, or if a younger sprinter beats him clearly, the comeback story changes overnight. That is the real tension around this Texas start. It is not built on hate. It is built on the fear that a champion's comeback can look strong in one event and fragile in another, especially when the race gets far shorter and much sharper. Track fans have short memories. They remember titles, but they judge the race in front of them. Norman's real target may still be the 400 meters, and that makes Texas more of a clue than a final verdict. The 200 can sharpen his speed for the full lap. It can help his first 200 meters in the 400 feel stronger. It can remind his body how to attack without waiting too long. That matters because the men's 400 meter is getting harder. Matthew Hudson-Smith has been running at a historic level. Kirani James is dangerous. Vernon Norwood, Bryce Deadman, and other U.S. athletes keep the relay pool strong. The event is not waiting for Norman to return. If Norman wants to matter again, he cannot only be solid, he has to become scary. In the 400, scary means opening well, staying relaxed, and still having something left when the legs start burning. The 200 helps test the first part of that formula. That is why College Station matters more than one result. It may show whether the comeback has speed under it. The honest view is simple. Norman should not be judged like a finished product in early June. Comebacks are uneven. Athletes often need races that look awkward before they look dangerous. A bad 200 in Texas would not erase his world title. It would not erase 43.45. It would not mean the comeback is dead. But it would show there is still a gap between being back on the track and being back at the top. A good race would also need context. If Norman runs fast, it does not instantly make him a medal favorite. It shows progress. It shows his speed is waking up. It gives the comeback more weight. Texas can expose him, but it can also sharpen him. The result should be read as evidence, not a final sentence. The real danger is pretending this is only a feel-good return. Norman is too accomplished for that. He is a former world champion. He will be judged by a higher standard. In Texas, Norman needs to show three things. The first is intent. He cannot run the 200 like a slow 400-meter opener. He needs to attack the curve and show that the race has purpose. The second is mechanics. His hips must stay high, his shoulders must stay loose, and his transition off the bend must look clean. If the body looks tight, the time may not matter as much as the warning sign. The third piece is fight. If challenged late, he needs to respond. Comeback races are about whether the athlete still wants the ugly meters. If that shows up, Texas becomes a win even without a shocking time. If not, the questions get louder. This 200 is a public check on identity. Is Michael Norman still a dangerous long sprinter, or just a great name trying to find the old version?